Hello everyone! Today we are doing our little house in the big woods, chapter 4, part 2. We're finishing up our Christmas chapter. Yesterday we ended on a crazy note, right? We heard a story from Uncle Peter and Aunt Eliza about how she almost got eaten by a pantera. That would be really scary, so we're going to continue on from that. Today we only have one vocab word. Alright, and the thing we're going to be learning about today is called an apple pomander. Let me turn my brightness down. Okay, an apple pomander is an apple that has cloves pushed into it, and the cloves smell really good, and the apple smells really good. And when you put cloves into an apple, it creates a wonderful scent. And then Ma will talk about it, how she put a ribbon around it, like this one over here. She put a ribbon around her apple pomander to help hang it. So you hang it in a doorway or wherever you want, because then it just makes the room smell good, and the apple stays good for a lot longer because it's all packed in there. So that's what an apple pomander is. So, only one vocab word, and I'll put that definition in the description box so you can go ahead and look at that. Alright, so we're going to continue on with chapter 4, part 2. Let's see here. We ended on Uncle Peter. Night was coming on when she saw the tracks, and she didn't waste any time getting back to the house with her pail of water. Prince followed close behind Aunt Eliza, looking back into the ravine now and then, checking. "I took him into the house with me," Aunt Eliza said, "and we all stayed inside till Peter came home." "Did you get him?" Pa asked Uncle Peter. "No," Uncle Peter said. "I took my gun out hunting all around the place, but I couldn't find him. I saw some more of his tracks. He'd gone north, farther into the big woods." Alice, Ella, and Mary were all wide awake now, and Laura put her head under the covers and whispered to Alice, "My, weren't you scared?" Alice whispered back that she was scared, but Ella was scareder. And Ella whispered that she wasn't either any such thing. "Well, anyway, you made more fuss about being thirsty," Alice whispered. They lay there whispering about it till Ma said, "Charles, the children will never go to sleep unless you play for them." So Pa got his fiddle. The room was still and warm and full of firelight. Ma's shadow and Aunt Eliza's and Uncle Peter's were big and quivering on the walls in the flickering firelight. And Pa's fiddle sang merrily to itself. It sang Monkey Musk and The Red Heifer, The Devil's Dream, The Arkansas Traveler, and Laura went to sleep while Pa and the fiddle were both softly singing. "My darling Nellie Gray, they have taken away, and I'll never see my darling any more." In the morning they all woke up almost the same moment. They looked at their stockings, and something was in them. Santa Claus had been there. Alice and Ella and Laura in their red flannel nightgowns, and Peter in his red flannel nightshirt all ran shouting to see what he had brought. In each stocking there was a pair of red mittens. Okay, there's the little red mittens. Alright, let's see here. There was a pair of red mittens, and there was a long, flat stick of red and white striped peppermint candy. Ooh, all beautifully notched along each side. They were all so happy they could hardly speak at first. They just looked with shining eyes at those lovely Christmas presents. But Laura was happiest of all. Laura had a rag doll. She was a beautiful doll. She had a face of white cloth with black button eyes. A black pencil had made her eyebrows, and her cheeks and her mouth were red with the ink from pokeberries. Her hair was black yarn that had been knit and raveled so that it was curly. She had little red flannel stockings and little black gaiters for shoes. And her dress was pretty pink and blue calico. She was so beautiful that Laura could not say a word. She just held her tight and forgot everything else. She did not know that everyone was looking at her till Aunt Eliza said, "Did you ever see such big eyes?" The other girls were not jealous because Laura had mittens and a candy and a doll, because Laura was the littlest girl, except baby Carrie and Aunt Eliza's little baby Dolly Varden. The babies were too small for dolls. They were so small they did not even know about Santa Claus, and they just put their fingers in their mouths and wriggled because of all the excitement. Laura sat down on the edge of the bed and held her doll. She loved her red mittens and she loved the candy, but she loved her doll best of all. She named her Charlotte. Then they all looked at each other's mittens and tried on their own, and Peter bit a large piece of his stick of candy, but Alice and Laura and Mary licked theirs to make it last longer. "Well, well," Uncle Peter said, "isn't there even one stocking with nothing but a switch in it? My, have you all been such good children?" But they didn't believe that Santa Claus could really have given them, and really could have given any of them nothing but a switch, which is like a stick. That happened to some children, but it couldn't happen to them. It was so hard to be good all the time, every day, for a whole year. "You mustn't tease the children, Peter," Aunt Eliza said. Ma said, "Laura, aren't you going to let the other girls hold your doll?" She meant little girls must not be selfish. So Laura let Mary take the beautiful doll, and then Alice held her a minute, and then Ella. They smoothed the pretty dress and admired the red flannel stockings and the gaiters and the curly woolen hair. But Laura was glad when at last Charlotte was safe in her arms again. Pa and Uncle Peter had each a pair of new warm mittens, knit in little squares of red and white. Aunt Eliza had brought Ma a large red apple pomander stuck full of cloves. How good it smelled, and it would not spoil, for so many cloves would keep it sound and sweet. Ma gave Aunt Eliza a little needle book she had made, with bits of silk for covers and soft white flannel leaves into which to stick the needles. The flannel would keep the needles from rusting. They all admired Ma's beautiful bracket, and Aunt Eliza said that Uncle Peter had made one for her, of course, with different carvings. Santa Claus had not given them anything at all. Santa Claus did not give grown people presents, but that was not because they had not been good. Pa and Ma were good. It was because they were grown-ups, and grown people must give each other presents. Then all the presents must be laid away for a little while. Peter went out with Pa and Uncle Peter to do the chores, and Alice and Ella helped Aunt Eliza make the beds, and Laura and Mary set the table while Ma got breakfast. For breakfast there were pancakes, and Ma made a pancake man for each one of the children. Ma called each one in turn to bring her plate, and each could stand by the stove and watch, while with the spoonful of batter, Ma put on the arms and legs and the head. It was very exciting to watch her turn the whole little man over, quickly, carefully, on the hot griddle. When it was done, she put it smoking hot on the plate. Peter ate the head off his man right away, but Alice and Ella and Mary and Laura ate theirs slowly in little bits, first the arms and the legs, then the middle, saving the head for last. Today the weather was so cold that they could not play outside, but there were new mittens to admire and the candy to lick, and they all sat on the floor together and looked at the pictures in the Bible and the pictures of all kinds of animals and birds in Pa's big green book. Laura kept Charlotte in her arms the whole time. Then there was a Christmas dinner. Alice and Ella and Peter and Mary and Laura did not say a word at table, for they knew that children should be seen and not heard. But they did not need to ask for second helpings. Ma and Aunt Eliza kept their plates full and let them eat all the good things they could hold. Christmas comes but once a year, said Aunt Eliza. Dinner was early because Aunt Eliza, Uncle Peter, and the cousins had such a long way to go. Best the horses can do, Uncle Peter said. We'll hardly make it home before dark. So as soon as they had eaten dinner, Uncle Peter and Pa went to put the horses to the sled, while Ma and Aunt Eliza wrapped up the cousins. They pulled heavy woolen stockings over the woolen stockings, and the shoes they were already wearing. They put on mittens and coats, warm hoods and shawls, and wrapped the mufflers around their necks, and thick woolen veils to cover their faces. Ma slipped piping hot baked potatoes into their pockets to keep their fingers warm, and Aunt Eliza's flat irons were hot on the stove, ready to put at their feet in the sled. The blankets and quilts and the buffalo robes were warmed too, so they all, got into the big bobsled, cozy and warm, and Pa tucked the last robe well in around them. Goodbye, goodbye, they called, and off they went, the horses trotting happily and the sleigh bells ringing. In just a little while, the merry sound of the bells were gone, and Christmas was over. But what a happy Christmas it had been. Wow. Laura didn't get very many presents, did she? But was she so happy? It doesn't matter how many presents you get. It matters what they mean to you, right? So we should always be thankful for what we have, because that was so sweet. They all got one piece of candy and a pair of mittens. And then Laura got her little doll. Finally, she got her little doll that's on the front. So that was great. What a great chapter, huh? We got to meet some new characters. Awesome. All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow for Chapter 5, which is just one reading, I believe. Yep. Yeah, it's just one reading. So Chapter 5 is only going to be in one part. Woohoo! All right. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.